Morant with a running start. Elevate! Dunks! Oh my goodness! Tie game in overtime. Gasol will turn his heat. It's gone! Memphis on top. 7-10 remaining. Conley now with three. Count it! A 15-point lead for Memphis. And Blake Griffin gets into it on the floor with Randolph. Hard to tell if there are any punches being thrown under there, but Griffin took acceptance. Adams going long. Morant! He hit it! Ja Morant, insanity!
You gotta be kidding me.
Welcome to Grits and Grinds, a Memphis Grizzlies podcast. Grizzlies win edition. My name is Keith Parrish. Scotty Pippen Jr. had a career-high 30 points. Jaylen Wells had a career-high 26 points. And the Grizzlies scored a season-high 142 points as they defeated the Chicago Bulls to win their second straight game. They also made 19 three-pointers as a team for the second consecutive game. It led to an offensive explosion, an offensive shootout as the Grizzlies get the win. On today's episode, I will talk about the game. I'll talk about the career nights from Scotty and Jaylen. Before I do, just a reminder, if you want to support the creation of this program, if you want to join the listener-only Slack channel, if you want to get exclusive bonus content, you get all of that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. To support the program, patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. All right. 142 points. That's just the seventh time in franchise history that the Grizzlies have scored 140 points or more. 6 of those games have come since Taylor Jenkins became head coach. They did not have a 140-point game at any time last year, so the last time this happened was in 2023. This game was actually the second closest game in franchise history when the team scores at least 140 points. Back in 2007, they had a 9-point victory, 144-135. I'm sure that was a fun one. I don't remember it specifically. But a massive number of points for the Grizzlies. They had a 78-point second half. They scored 45 points in the third quarter. That's just the 10th time in franchise history they've had 45 or more points in a quarter. This was the first time the Grizzlies have won a game where they allowed their opponent to have at least 130 points since Taylor Jenkins' first victory ever. The well-remembered game against the Brooklyn Nets, the Jay Crowder game winner. In that game, they won despite the Nets scoring over 130 points. That was an overtime game. This, a regulation game, the Chicago Bulls drop 131 points, but it was not enough as the Grizzlies go on this shooting barrage. They hit 19 threes for the second straight game, matches the season high. When the three-pointers go in, I mean, the offense looks superb, right? They also did the same similar substitution pattern. It was the same players available this game that were available against the Sixers. Somewhat surprisingly, Marcus Smart did not play. He missed his 4th straight game. Apparently, he's not still sick, but they needed him to get his conditioning back or something, whatever. Marcus misses his 72nd game of the 99 available to him since he joined the Grizzlies. So Marcus Smart didn't play, but they ran the same substitution pattern, and they actually experimented a little bit more with non-Desmond and Jaren minutes instead of staggering those guys so one's always on the court, which is what they did for the first however many number of games they played where both players were available this year. This is the second straight game where they took them both off the court at the same time. This time, they allowed them to both be off the court for even longer stretches. That probably was because the bench was making all these three-pointers. When Jay Huff comes in and makes all of his three-pointers, when Jaylen Wells and Scotty Pippen are cooking, all right, just take a step back. Maybe Desmond and Jaren don't need to be on the court all the time. By the way, I guess a bigger story, maybe even than the win, is the injury report. Yes, Marcus Smart was still out for this game, but Ja Morant was doubtful for the game against the Bulls, meaning hopefully he's going to be questionable for the game against the Trailblazers on Monday. Now, I'm recording this again on Sunday a little bit early. I'm actually thinking I'm going to go ahead and release this on Sunday. So the injury report hasn't come out yet. I'll adjust the show notes if something needs to change. But we're fingers crossed hoping Ja Morant will be questionable and thus will make his return to the lineup against the Trailblazers on Monday. Of course, Ja Morant has missed 81 of the Grizzlies' last 99 basketball games. So the team, despite not having Ja Morant once again, got a Ja Morant level performance from Scotty Pippen Jr. 30 points and 10 assists. The 30 points is a career high, of course. I mean, he was truly amazing. It was a jaw-dropping 30 points. He was scoring on tough drives. He was absorbing contact on his layups. He was making his jumpers. And I'd also say he has a flair for the dramatic. Like this game, all right, he's playing in the United Center where his dad played. His dad's jersey is in the rafters. There was this cherry-picked stat that everyone jumped onto. I don't hate it. It's kind of fun. He's the first player to have at least 25 points and 8 assists while shooting 80% or better in the United Center since his dad, Scotty Pippen Sr. But 30 points and 10 assists, that is remarkable. He is just the 5th player since the Grizzlies have moved to Memphis that's had a 30-point, 10-assist game. Like Mike Conley had 2 career 30-point, 10-assist games on the Grizzlies. Now Scotty Pippen Jr. has 1. Ja has the most. He has 14. Mike Conley has 2. Jason Williams, White Chocolate, has 2. Tyreke Evans, the one season he was on the Grizzlies, he had 2. And now Scotty Pippen Jr. has 1. Meanwhile, in the Vancouver days, Sharif Abdur-Rahim had 1, and Greg Anthony had 1. Scotty had 14 of his points in that third quarter where the team scored 45 points. He was 6 for 6 from the field in that third quarter. Part of just an unbelievable high-scoring third quarter. The score of the third quarter was 45-38. But Scotty, with easily the best game of his career and doing it in Chicago where his dad was a legend. I feel like, again, a flair for the dramatic because he's done this where he had the huge game against the Bucks because he wanted to stick it to Darvin Ham, who's an assistant coach. He had a great game against the Lakers because that team didn't want him. And now I feel like somehow maybe he's worked himself up for this Bulls game, had a huge game. Whatever the method is, whatever the motivation is, keep doing it, Scotty. Just an incredible game from Scotty Pippen Jr. I'm in awe of what Scotty Pippen Jr. has done. I mean, he's been up and down this season. He actually had been in a shooting slump, I would say, coming into this game. Shooting slump, no more. He was 10 out of 10 on 2-pointers, 3 out of 6 on 3-pointers, so 13 for 16 overall for Scotty Pippen Jr. on his way to 30 points. Meanwhile, a fellow Summer League hero of Scotty's, Jaylen Wells, had a career-high 26 points, a career-high 6 made threes, a career-high 6 assists. Jaylen Wells was just outstanding. What superlatives can you say? He was really impressive in this one. His three-pointers are so beautiful. I mean, everybody's three-pointers that go in look good usually, but the net barely moves on so many of his swishes. His makes rarely hit the rim. It feels like some very high percentage of his makes are just pure swishes. So he made 6 out of 10 threes. He even had one long 2-pointer toe on the line, so it seemed like it was 7 made threes. But he was 10 out of 14 overall on the way to that 26 points. And again, 6 assists, also no turnovers. He was just feeling it. It felt like the entire game. I mean, there was not, of course, much defense played in this game. The Grizzlies' defensive rating takes a hit. In this one, the Grizzlies matched their season low, only getting 5 steals. But Jaylen kept the Grizzlies, it felt like, ahead the whole game by timely jumpers. And of course, Scotty contributed a lot to that. I mean, this doesn't even mention Jaren. Jaren had another really good game. He had 23 points. He picked up 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks. He made 3 3-pointers. So you get these massive performances from Jaylen Wells, Scotty Pippen Jr., and Jaren Jackson Jr. We expect this from Jaren. Jaren's now scored 20 or more in 8 of his last 9 games. Getting 56 points, though, from 2 guys who played Summer League for you, that is wild. I would say it's unexpected. Maybe people out there expected it, but I'm a little bit blown away that those guys have performed so well so early in their careers. By the way, Jaylen is back up to 2nd in the NBA among rookies in points per game, only trailing Jared McCain. He averages 12.5 points per game. Jaren's unique stat that we can pull out is these consecutive games that he's had with multiple blocks, multiple made threes, and a steal. He has now 4 straight games doing that, which is actually tied for the longest streak in NBA history. 8 other players have done it that many games in a row. 4 straight games with multiple made threes, multiple blocks, and at least 1 steal. Marc Gasol is one of the players who's done it. So if Jaren goes out and gets 2 threes, 2 blocks, and a steal against the Trailblazers, he'll have the longest streak in NBA history of a player doing that. That doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's a novelty stat, but it does show how unique of a basketball player that Jaren is, and he keeps playing well for the Grizzlies, helping them build this 10-7 record that they have right now. So you get a strong performance from Jaren to complement the young guys, Scotty and Jaylen. But this, I would say, it was a total team victory. You don't have anybody who got in who did not, I think, contribute in quite a big way. Like, you might point to Jake LaRavia having his worst shooting performance in a while. Jake was just 1 out of 6 from the floor, missed both of his 3-point attempts, but he got 6 more assists. He also played good defense to me. Maybe there wasn't a ton of good defense to go around, but I felt like Jake's effort was consistent in that area. But you get Brandon Clark in the start once again. Brandon had 12 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. He made all 6 of his field goal attempts. He did not attempt a 3-pointer. But this is Brandon's 9th career game where he's attempted at least 6 field goals and made them all. That is by far the most such games in Grizzlies franchise history. Tony Allen had 3. He has the 2nd most games with at least 6 field goal attempts and no misses. Brandon is tied for the 15th most games in NBA history, taking at least 6 shots and making them all. By the way, DeAndre Jordan has the most with 30. Santi Aldama had another good game, had a double-double coming off the bench, 10 rebounds, 10 points, had 5 assists and 2 steals. Jay Huff was immediate offense off the bench for the Grizzlies, had 14 points in 19 minutes, made all 3 of his 3-point attempts. Santi Aldama's college roommate at Loyola, Cam Spencer, in his 2nd career game, got his first NBA bucket. It was a layup off of an assist from Santi. So that was a fun moment for him and for all the Loyola Greyhounds out there. Now, maybe the one guy who didn't have a good game, you could say, is Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane had a very off first half. Desmond Bane missed all 6 of his field goal attempts in the first half. In the first half, the Grizzlies, they were winning, and Luke Kennard and Desmond Bane had combined to go 1 for 11 from the field. Desmond did have a strong 3rd quarter. He finishes the game with 13 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists and a block. Luke Kennard, he bounced back from his slow first half to have 10 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. The Grizzlies mostly took care of the basketball in this game. They only had 11 turnovers. I would say a lot of that is the Bulls' defense is bad. The Grizzlies also did not force very many turnovers in this game. Despite taking care of the basketball against the Bulls, the Grizzlies are still turning the ball over on 17% of their possessions this season. They're still 4th worst in the NBA at doing that. The game briefly looked like it was really going to get out of hand because of all the Grizzlies' three-point shooting. The Grizzlies got up by over 20 in the 4th quarter, and the Bulls emptied their bench. But unfortunately, the Bulls subs that came in made 5 consecutive three-pointers. So it got a little bit nerve-wracking at the end when the Bulls cut it to single digits. There was an out-of-bounds call where Scotty Pippen Jr. was yelling at the bench to challenge it, and they would have won that challenge. I thought that was a good situation where there was almost nothing to lose. It was just outside of 2 minutes, and it's like, all right, if we could stop this Bulls run and retain possession right here, it's worth risking your challenge on it, but they did not challenge it. Luckily, the Bulls just lost the ball out of bounds with no pressure. It was a totally unforced error right after that. You could say it's a ball don't lie moment. The basketball gods saved the Grizzlies. But after the Bulls subs started making several three-pointers, like the Grizzlies put their starters back in the game, I don't think it looked like with 5 or 6 minutes left that Desmond Bane and Jaren were coming back in. But in fact, they did come back in, and the Grizzlies actually closed the final few minutes with their top closing lineup out there. As far as the three-point shooting, so again, 2nd consecutive game with 19 made three-pointers. That's just the 2nd time in franchise history where the team has made 19 or more threes in back-to-back games. One fun aspect of all those three-pointers going in, so Jaylen Wells, obviously very early in his Grizzlies career, he has now made 33 three-pointers in his rookie season. That actually puts him in a tie for the 89th most made three-pointers in Grizzlies franchise history. And in this last game, just in this last game, listen to all the players that he passed on the Grizzlies' all-time leader board for made three-pointers. These are some notable dudes. He passed Beno Udrih, John Lure, Avery Bradley, Sam Young, Nick Calathis, Dante Jones, and Gorgie Jang. Passed all those guys just on Saturday night. So that's fun for the Grizzlies historians out there. Going forward this week, the Grizzlies, of course, 10-7, tied for 7th in the Western Conference as of Sunday morning. They play the Trailblazers at home on Monday. Fingers crossed, Ja Morant and Marcus Smart will be available. We assume that means Cam Spencer is getting kicked out of the rotation. Does anybody else get kicked out of the rotation? Or do we go 11 deep? We will see. On Wednesday night, day before Thanksgiving, a lot of times there's a bunch of very weird results in the NBA on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Hopefully, Grizzlies Pistons is not a weird result. This is an opportunity for the Grizzlies to rack up some wins. I mean, honestly, though, the Trailblazers have been playing well. They've been competitive in a lot of games. They got blown out by the Rockets on Friday, but they bounced back and beat the Rockets on Saturday. So the Trailblazers have been a little bit frisky lately. The Pistons have been actually pretty decent recently. So hopefully the team does not overlook those opponents. Then on Friday, you play that New Orleans Pelicans team that's going through a season right now that feels very reminiscent of the Grizzlies season last year. They've suffered so many different injuries to so many different players. Then you play the Pacers, I believe, on Sunday. So that's the remaining homestand. 4 straight home games left in this homestand. Hopefully you can pick up some victories. Hopefully you can pick up some more healthy players. One player you're not picking up anytime soon is Vince Williams Jr. The team released a medical report or a medical update on him a couple of days ago, and it was not good. The news is that he's going to be out for at least 4 weeks. He's going to be reevaluated after 4 weeks, a grade 3 sprain of his ankle. So Vince right now is a long way from returning. The other guy we're looking forward to, Gigi Jackson, not close, but Zach Edey, we're not totally sure. Hopefully with his week-to-week situation, maybe the end of the week, we could see a return for Zach Edey, and this team could start getting a little bit closer to what we consider to be full strength. And with that, I think that's all we need to do for today's episode. Again, if you want to support this show, do that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Thanks to everyone who has signed up over there, who helps support the creation of this show. Anyways, you all have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Go Grizz.